Hello everyone, I'm Parker and we're continuing to brainstorm creatively. Next I'm going to talk about the common issues students often face during high school. The first issue, as we all know, is that there is a tremendous amount of academic pressure. During high school, this is mainly because in high school students face the National College Entrance Examination, commonly known as the GAOKO. Since the GAOKO is highly competitive and not everyone can secure a spot, some students are eliminated and unable to attend university. Therefore, during this period, academic pressure is indeed substantial. When it comes to high school students, especially boys, they are usually beyond the control of their parents physically and psychologically. Parents often find it challenging to influence them during this stage. If these high school students are to change, it largely depends on the support and guidance they receive from their school and teachers. It's very challenging for parents unless some students have developed good habits from a young age or have a family environment that promotes good values. They may be receptive to the advice of their parents and elders. However, such students are rare. Most students tend to be self-centered and believe they know better. They face the pressure of preparing for the college entrance exams, and as a result their mindset during this period is extremely unstable. Everyone please take note that I'm saying their mindset is extremely unstable during this period. I don't know if those of you who are listening feel the same way or think the same way, but of course you have your thoughts and I have mine. My viewpoint is that during this period it's crucial to address their mental well-being issues. Now let's take a look at the problems that may arise during this period, and we can start by dividing them into academic and non-academic aspects. When it comes to academics, we can observe that students who excel in their studies or are highly motivated, perhaps due to family or parental pressure, often become what we call bookworms. They are focused on studying, reading books and completing assignments day in and day out. However, I want to tell you that while these students may have a good chance of succeeding in the college entrance exams with their hard work, it won't be easy and their learning can be quite exhausting. Some students don't study much, or at least it may seem that way, as they still have time to play or do other activities, yet they perform well on exams. Schools and teachers often label these students as very intelligent and believe they have no other concerns. However, they may not necessarily be exceptionally smart. In reality, they have adopted the right thinking patterns. They can distill the essence of any subject as if they were unraveling a puzzle, allowing them to learn effortlessly and adaptively. I discussed this issue in a previous class. If schools and teachers could pay attention to these students, even if there are only one or two such students in the entire school, and if they could thoroughly analyze and understand their approach, it would benefit all students. The focus shouldn't be on how they study or why they excel in exams. It should be on their thinking patterns. Once you grasp the essence of this kind of thinking, expanding it will benefit everyone. Of course, I'm not saying that these academically successful students necessarily have a perfect thinking pattern similar to what I've discussed in the tree thinking mode theory. It may not be the case because their thinking pattern may only be suitable for their academic pursuits and not necessarily applicable to other areas. This is my viewpoint, and whether it is right or wrong can vary depending on individual perspectives. Moving on, the majority of students are engaged in learning under a so-called passive push. Why do we call it passive? Well, schools and teachers assign a lot of homework and numerous practice problems, and there are mock exams, various summaries to prepare for, and fear of uncertain results. This compels students to study under this passive push, and what's the result? It's hard to say. Perhaps some individuals find the exams relatively easy after doing a lot of practice problems, while others might have done fewer practice problems or struggled with understanding the material, leaving them feeling lost during exams. But regardless, one can conclude that most students are in a state of passive learning. There is another group of students who simply do not perform well academically. What happens to them during their high school years? Some of them start to engage with society and may adopt negative behaviors. From a parent's perspective, they might consider their child as going astray. These students often interact with individuals from the darker side of society, such as delinquents and troublemakers. Therefore, during high school, a very fundamental and critical issue arises, which is the problem of school bullies. In some cases it escalates to criminal behavior because they reach an age where such actions can lead to legal consequences. Consequently, during this period, many students may veer onto a criminal path. So these students have given up on academic pursuits, and they are not concerned about the hopes of their families or the care of their parents. Among these students there is a polarization occurring. Some of the students who have engaged with society come from relatively affluent families, therefore they are not worried about the college entrance exams because they can ultimately use money to secure a spot. Their families can afford to pay for their education and essentially buy them a degree. This is a common phenomenon, and it even includes some students who claim to be studying abroad. What's their reliance? It's money. To be blunt, some of these students who study abroad might just be getting by, aiming to obtain a degree and little else during their time overseas. Of course, we cannot deny that many students who study abroad have achieved remarkable results, obtained proud achievements, and even secured excellent jobs. Some of these students have reached a very high level of academic proficiency. However, at the initial stage it often relies on financial support. Let's be honest, this is the reality not only in one country but in most countries. Unless you are living in some advanced nations and can pursue your education in your home country, it's a different story. When it comes to studying abroad, it's generally built upon a financial foundation. I don't know how everyone views this issue, but when we talk about the relationship between education and money, we cannot avoid discussing this matter. Many advanced countries capitalize on their advanced educational concepts, materials and more to earn money from students. In less developed countries it seems to be a growing trend where the more advanced the country, the more students from so-called third world countries aspire to study. Their families often go to great lengths to save money for their children's education abroad. Is this practice right or wrong? I can't definitively define it. I believe it can be both right and wrong depending on the context. Indeed, many students from third world countries who study in advanced nations can be exposed to new ideas, perspectives and values which can lead to positive personal growth and benefits for their future. However, what is considered wrong in this context if you don't have the aptitude for learning, or if your academic performance is not strong and you insist that your parents create the conditions for you to study abroad, working tirelessly to save money for your education. Is this path correct? It's not correct. And why is that? Because these individuals have acquired knowledge through the accumulation of money. It's not something to be proud of. So what are you doing it for? You're spending all that money without truly gaining knowledge in return, without acquiring beneficial insights for yourself or society. What's the point of that? Therefore, I believe that forcing or pursuing the so-called pursuit of studying abroad under such passive conditions should not be the way to go. It must be acknowledged that studying abroad can indeed change a student's future and life at times. Why am I discussing this so extensively now? Because students from impoverished countries often go to great lengths to study abroad in hopes of changing their circumstances and lives. As for the duration and extent of the change, it varies from person to person. Why am I discussing the issue of studying abroad here? To be honest, in many countries when high school students fail to get into college, the more common course of action taken by parents is to send them abroad for studies. This is a widespread phenomenon, as I mentioned earlier. When education is intertwined with money or is heavily influenced by money, it can lose its meaning. However, studying abroad is closely linked to money, because if you don't pay tuition, no university will admit you. Of course, when you are admitted to a university in an advanced country and they charge you a high fee, how much meaning does it have for the student themselves? It varies. It can be highly meaningful for some, while for others it might not be the same. A popular term in society nowadays is diploma mills, which refers to many universities that are solely focused on making money through fraudulent means rather than providing quality education. Their diplomas are often considered worthless and not recognized by any country, especially in third world countries. In such cases, pursuing such studies abroad can indeed be meaningless. Let me summarize. When it comes to studying abroad, you must consider your circumstances and choose a reputable and good university. I cannot definitively say that studying abroad loses its meaning when it's connected to money, because it's not always the case. It depends on how you interpret it and the perspective you take. I will address this issue further in other lectures, particularly within the context of personal ideologies, but I won't delve into it further here. I'm just discussing some surface phenomena during high school, and this is one of the observed phenomena regarding those who lack financial resources, are just entering high school or even turning to a criminal path. We won't discuss their ultimate outcomes. As adults, you all understand the potential consequences. I'll reiterate. During the high school years, students' behavior and mindset are extremely important. As parents and adults, don't forget one crucial fact: they have reached the age of legal responsibility. During this period, if they cannot manage themselves properly, they might end up involved in criminal activities, and they won't easily recover from such mistakes. Parents can't always protect them because they will bear legal consequences, right? You can't replace them in facing those consequences, and throwing money at the problem won't solve it. Therefore, during this period, students' behavior can be characterized by significant turmoil and instability in their mindset. Remember, their mindset is highly turbulent during this period, and that's the point to take away. In my previous lecture, I also discussed another issue, the matter of students residing at school. Frankly, during this period, allowing your child, especially when they have an unstable mindset, to live in such a communal setting, I'll be blunt about it, there are absolutely no benefits, 100% no benefits. So as parents during this time, do not shirk your responsibility and don't pass the blame onto the school by saying you have a closed management system, so I'll push everything onto you. I'll tell you the school won't take responsibility for you, because if your child later can't get into college or has poor academic performance, the school won't intervene. You won't be able to sue the school because the school will argue, look at how well most of our students perform in exams. If your child isn't doing well, it's their issue. In the end, you've spent money, but your child hasn't been properly nurtured, especially during their high school years when their mindset is tumultuous. Entering this communal living environment will often expose them to external influences. Making friends, socializing, drinking, dating, and everything else becomes readily available. It's still the same as what I said earlier. No matter how much you may dislike it, they think they are very modern, believe that you as parents are outdated, don't understand them, and have no clue that's their mindset. So especially during high school, in this so-called tumultuous state of mind coupled with their self-righteousness, these behaviors will indeed have a significant impact on their studies. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. Of course, during the high school years many issues may arise, and it's not realistic for me to cover them comprehensively in a single lecture. That's why here I can only discuss some key common and general phenomena. The purpose of discussing these phenomena is to remind parents, schools and teachers to pay attention to them. As for specific solutions, I have already mentioned them and I won't reiterate them here. Let's summarize why I've discussed all of this during the high school period. The most important reason is that once mistakes are made during high school, it can be very dangerous for students. The danger lies in their age, as they have reached the age of legal responsibility. So here I want to remind everyone about this. Of course, if some parents or schools have specific questions or situations regarding individual students, you can leave a message and I will analyze and discuss them in detail in future lectures. We can explore them together. Currently, the phenomena I've discussed are common occurrences during a normal high school period. Objectively speaking, whether it's parents, schools or teachers, everyone hopes for a higher college enrollment rate and wishes for students to achieve good grades regardless of the underlying reasons. For example, some tutoring centers offer courses not only to make money but also because they want students to achieve good grades. After all, this is a sense of accomplishment for them. With this achievement, they may attract more students in the future and earn more money. The starting point for everyone is the same, and let's not dwell on the ultimate goals for now. In any case, everyone hopes that students can get into college and achieve good grades. This is the reality. However, we must emphasize the changes that occurred during this period, and these changes can be summarized as one issue mindset. Regardless of your purposes, whether it's guiding students or making money, if you fail to incorporate this mindset into your agenda, I'm sorry to say that you are all unsuccessful. This point is not meant to criticize anyone. I'm just pointing out this phenomenon and highlighting the most lamentable aspect of our society today, which is the lack of a mindset theory and the failure to give importance to such a mindset. This is why we have so many problems. If everyone had a sharp mindset theory, everyone could excel in their studies. Of course, we don't exclude individuals with inherent intellectual disabilities or other conditions. They are an extremely small minority. Let's not dwell on this point. What we want to emphasize here is the most important issue, the need for a good mindset that every normal person should possess. However, throughout the thousands of years of human history, who has summarized this, who has explored this mindset as a discipline in life? No one has. I don't know what the so-called experts in today's society are thinking, and I don't understand why in our current age of technological and social advancement no one has made mindset theory a priority. This is a very real and lamentable situation. We haven't given it the attention it deserves, and no one has thought deeply about it. These questions are left for schools, teachers, students, parents, and all of us to contemplate. A proper mindset can completely transform a person's life, affecting their learning, life, work, and even their overall well-being. So through this lecture, I hope that everyone will begin to take mindset theory more seriously. In the next lecture, I will discuss the issues that arise after getting into college.
Friends who are interested in my lectures, please click to subscribe and click on the little bell. At the same time, the links to the Big Tree Thinking Model Theory ebook and the Big Tree Thinking Model and Junior High School Mathematics lectures are here below. Friends can click on the link to watch related free lectures. Thank you all.